welcome. My name is Lisa. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you're already a subscriber, but if not, if you want to subscribe and then hit the little notifications bell and you'll be notified of all my future videos. Right, so what are we making today? So today we're making this table topper, okay? So it could be, you can call it table topper, table runner. I have made this to go on my sewing table, but obviously it would go on any table that you wanted it to. It doesn't have to be a sewing table. I've made this as a bit of an upcycle. So inside I've used a towel, an old towel, and then the front and the back is actually an old curtain that I've been given. So it's a really nice project, really easy project actually, and I've quilted it as well. So let's get into it and see how to make it. This is my sewing table and I use this all the time for filming for YouTube and Instagram, and as you can see I've just covered it with a piece of felt, and the felt is getting quite worn and it's also got marks all on it, and I just think it generally doesn't look great. It looks a bit shabby. So underneath I've got a really nice writer's desk. It's actually my daughter's desk, but although it's beautiful, it looks quite dark when I use it in the video, so I do need something to cover it. So I have decided to make a new cover for it, but because I'm trying not to buy more fabric, I'm going to use some fabric that I've got already. So if I come over to here, what I've decided to do is I'm going to use, because I wanted it to be a bit thicker and have a bit of sort of thickness to it, but I didn't want to use any wadding because wadding's sort of fairly expensive, and again try not to buy some new things. So I've decided that I've got some towels that I was going to get rid of. This one in particular is quite old, it's quite a small one, and I'm going to use that as the inside. And then I've got some curtains here. Now my mum gave these to me, somebody gave them to her. And what they've got is, so they're slightly patterned on one side, but then they've also got, they're fully lined as well. So they've also got the plain on the inside. So what I've decided that I'm going to do is one side I'm going to use this print. Well, sorry, it's not print, it's like a jacquard. So one side I'm going to use that, and then the inside I'm going to use the towel, and then the other side I'm going to use the plain. So that's how I'm going to make my padded tabletop cover. So I'm talking to you about using a towel for the wadding here, but I have realised that actually not everybody is going to have the availability of an old towel. So if you haven't got an old towel, I've got another couple of options available for you, equally as good. So what you've got here is wool felt, and it needs to be 100% wool. You can get it in different thicknesses. I would recommend that if it's not thick enough, depending on what it is and where you buy, just double it up, and so that it's like a reasonable thickness, and that will make a really good wadding. It's good because it's a natural fibre as well, so the same as this one, which means that it's going to be heat resistant as well if you want to do something like use it in your kitchen. Depends where you want to use it. I'm obviously using it for my sewing machine, but you know, if you want to use it in a different environment, that will be heat resistant. The other one is this cotton wadding. Sorry, not cotton wadding, it's called cotton batting. You can buy this in any sewing shop. It's very easily available, readily available online as well. What you probably might need to do with this is, again, double it up just so that you've got a nice thickness. I oddly sometimes will shy away from this because I find that it sheds a little bit and it irritates my nose and makes my nose really itchy. So I do tend to sort of shy away sometimes from using this wadding. It might just be me, it might just be a peculiarity to me, but that is my reality. So I do sometimes prefer to use other things. The reason I use the towel is because I had it and I knew that I wanted to use it. Right, so I've measured the table and it measures 103 by 58 centimetres. So that's what it looks like. So it's actually a really nice old writing table, and at some stage my daughter will take it back off me because it's hers. But for the time being, whilst it's here and I'm using it as a sewing table, I just like the top to look a little bit nicer and lighter for the videos. I'm going to use as many of the existing seams as possible to make it as easy as possible. So I'm going to add a centimetre on to all of the edges, all 4 of the edges. So the width, finished width that I want is 58. That means I need to measure that as 60. So literally stick a pin in at 60 centimetres. Okay, and then I'm going to go all along, putting a pin in at 60. And then the width here is going to be 103 plus 2, so 105. So let me just measure that from the edge of there to there. Sorry, I've measured that out, so now I'm going to cut that out. So take my curtain. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to be lazy. I'm going to use this towel as a template because this is a really quick project. So I'm just going to lay it on top of the fabric. I'm going to cut that. Right side, so this is the wrong side. I'm going to put the towel, the lining against it, and then I'm going to make it sort of like a bag. So I'm going to turn that way, and then I want to put this lining here. Now actually it doesn't make any difference to this lining, whether it's the right side or the wrong side, you can hardly tell. But it would need to be, that would be my right side next to my right side. And then I'm just going to pin all these 3 pieces together, and then all I'll do is I will sew all the way around, and I'll leave a hole there for it to be turned inside out. And then what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to quilt this just to give it an extra bit of softness to it. Pinned all the way around. I'm going to take it to the sewing machine now and sew all the way around. That is sewn. I've got a hole there. Let's turn it inside out. Actually, what I'll do is I'll cut the corners off first. Turn it inside out. Before I do anything else, what I'm going to do is I'm going to iron this so that it all sits nice and flat, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to quilt it. So I'm going to mark across in diagonals and that way in diagonals, and then I'm going to sew it just so that it's a little bit more padded. Put it on my little mobile iron board. I've actually did a video for this, so there is a video showing you how to make this little mobile board. I made it a while ago and I use it an awful lot actually. It was really quite easy to make, but I'll link the video up above. Okay, so before I quilt it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to top stitch all around the outside edge just to give it a little bit of a neater edging. I also think that I'm probably going to use this side now as well rather than the plain side. I think it might look nicer, but we'll see when it's finished. I mean, I've done it so I've got the ability to do it either side, but I'll take it over to the machine now and just do the top stitching all around the edges. Just before I do the top stitching, just to mention that what I did was I folded underneath this turning bit that was left open, so that will now be enclosed when I do this top edging stitch. Right, so so top stitched all around the outside. I'm really happy with that. And what I'm going to do now is the quilting. Now I'm making this a really easy project. So the way that I'm going to do the quilting, which is really simple, is I've just got a corner there and I'm just folding that over like that so it makes 45-degree angle, and that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use, so I'm put my ruler in the middle there and I'm going to use that now as my 45-degree angle. So I'm using this marker pen which dissolves with heat. Always makes me a bit nervous though. Okay, first line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do it at, I'm going to do it quite big, so I'm going to maybe do it at about, I don't know, let's say 6 centimetres. So if I measure 6 centimetres there, and 6 centimetres there, and then I'm just going to keep going like that. Right, so to do the lines the other way, a 45-degree angle, so fold that over there, put my ruler in, open it out, and then just looking by eye, yeah, I can also see that that looks like it's 45 degrees. Ooh, that's a nice clean line. Okay, and then what I think I'll do is I'll just, from there, mark the 6 centimetres, 6, 12. So the last thing I want to do before I actually start sewing is I'm just going to pin this in place in a few places so that it stays flat. Ow, always do that. And it all stays in position. It's nice and flat at the moment and I don't want it to drag because there is 3 layers. I want it to stay where it's put. Trying to make sure that I go through all 3 layers here as well each time I pin it. Right, I'm going to go ahead and sew all of these, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew down one way and then up the other, down one way, up the other, and that is so that all the fabric doesn't drag in one direction, because I have made that mistake before. Right, so that took quite a while, but that is all sewn now and I'm actually really pleased with that, really happy. Now you can see that the black lines that I drew, the guidelines, are still on there. So what I'm going to have to do now is iron them off and pray to the sewing gods that it all comes off, because it's always a bit nerve-wracking beforehand to actually hope and pray that it comes off. So I'm going to give it 9 now and let's see it miraculously disappear. Right, so this, as soon as the iron hits it, is disappearing. Well, the black is disappearing, so that's fantastic. So I always sort of like hold my breath. Yay! Yay, 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 yay! No more black black marks. Right, it's finished. I'm happy with it. Put it on the table, it fits, it's nice and padded, and it's going to look really nice with my my sewing machine on top of it. So the only thing that I'm going to do is I am going to wash it because some of the black marks haven't totally come out. So I'm going to give it a wash and that will get them out during the washing cycle. There we go, put my sewing machine in place, pride of place, and I will start using that, so I'm happy with that. I hope that you can make one of yours too, and that I feel this looks a lot better than what I had before, a lot more streamlined, and yeah. Right, so just a little update. I've washed this now and I wanted to get the rest of the black marks out because there were still a couple of black marks in there, which was very sad for me because I spent hours and hours quilting this. I'm pleased to say that virtually all of the marks have come out. There have been a couple of little marks that are left in. I'll try and see if I can zoom in on one. You can see one there, look, a couple there. So I'm a bit disappointed about that, and what I'm actually going to do is the pens that I've got, I'm going to throw them away, which I don't like throwing anything away. But if you have any pens that you use, any marker pens that you can recommend, please, please, please let me know in the comments below. I would absolutely love to get like a proper good quality marking pen that definitely disappears all of the time. So please let me know. Thanks for spending your time watching this video. I've got lots more videos and I am sure there are lots and lots of other projects that you would love to watch and hopefully sew along with. So have a look at one of the next videos and I will see you there. So have a great day and thank you for watching.